franktalks.com.
Relationships, sex, passion with Dr. Laurie Petito. Hear the show live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD 800.
Welcome to Passion, a show about love, sex, and relationships. I'm Dr. Laurie Petito. Tonight, our regular monthly feature called Dating Dilemmas. And I am joined by Frank Kermit, who's a dating coach of franktalks.com. He's a best-selling author of several books on the subject of dating. He's also the relationship columnist for the West End Times. He joins us every month here to talk about singlehood, dating, and all stuff related. And tonight, we're going to talk about rejection. How do we deal with rejection? And we'd love to hear some of your thoughts on this. When was the last time you were rejected? How did it happen? What's the worst rejection story that you can share with us? And do you agree that rejection is part of the dating game? You have to accept that this rejection goes along with dating. And have you avoided dating because of rejection? So all of these questions we'll answer tonight and learn how do we cope and what does rejection mean. Frank, welcome back.
Thank you, Dr. Laurie. Great to be here once again.
It's great to have you on the show. Now, just before we start again, you're now offering a seminar once a month, I believe, right?
That's
so
right.
So we've switched over from your weekly to now once a month. Can you explain a little bit for our listeners who have been calling me, by the way, on Fridays? Where's Frank? What's his workshop?
I used to do Saturday night workshops every week, and that has been changed now. We're doing it once a month, and we're trying different nights of the week. This month, it's happening tomorrow night. Thursday night,
okay.
March the 28th, from 7 to 9 p.m. It's happening tomorrow night. And we're basically experimenting because one of the concerns that came up was that Saturday night is not necessarily the best night for people, especially after they've attended a number of my workshops.
They want to go dating, right?
They want to use their Saturday nights for dating to put into practice what I've been teaching.
That makes sense.
So we're going to be, this month we're trying it on a Thursday. Next month we'll see what night we try it on. It's just to see and give everybody an opportunity to attend. The cost is now $10 a person. It's once a month, 2 hours. Ask me anything. Instead of me preparing a lesson, you pick the topic.
Great. Well, that'll be fun. So it's kind of getting some coaching and within a group setting.
Yeah. If you were interested in signing up for private coaching, but you didn't want to spend the money, this is your opportunity to spend $10, come in, get your questions answered. And if you like what you hear and you think there's something worthwhile there, it's a way to test the waters.
Great. So that's happening tomorrow. So just keep us informed, of course, and then people can always check your website. That information will be there whenever they're on, right?
That's right. It's franktalks.com/workshops, and you just sign up with our meetup group.
Okay. So go to Frank's meetup group. So let's talk about rejection tonight, because this is something I believe scares a lot of people away from dating.
It can. Rejection can be a very, very painful experience depending on how you interpret rejection. Look, at its core, rejection is nothing more than a message, and the message is, I just don't want to date you right now. But what it further signifies, we don't know. We don't know if the person you're interested in is just having a bad day, going through a rough patch, maybe kind of involved with somebody else, but not really, and is in a complicated situation, or maybe there's something you did that really turned them off. We don't know. All we know is that you tried, and you got a no. No, thank you. Not yet. Not right now.
Shouldn't we expect that when we're dating, that we are, especially for men, I suppose, right? Because they're the pursuers, usually the ones going after, asking on dates.
Well, here's the thing. As a guy, I was always taught, look, it's just part of the deal. You're going to go up and you're going to ask out a bunch of people, and the majority of them are going to turn you down, and that's why you need to appreciate the ones that are willing to give you a shot. Women, on the other hand, they aren't as encouraged to go and ask out guys,
right,
or ask people out in general. However, because women are on the receiving end of so much sexual attention, they don't get rejected as often.
Right. But they still have that same fear of rejection, or even after they get the initial date. You know, women worry, he hasn't called me yet. He hasn't, there's that whole anxiety around the phone call, the follow-up, the next date.
Well, see, for women, it's not necessarily about getting a rejection right now. It's about not being able to get that commitment. Is he going to stick around? Whereas for guys, when they're initially going after it, what they're looking for is possibly sex. They're looking for a relationship. So they have to put themselves out there, take a chance, and risk rejection. So it's a very different dynamic.
Right. So women worry kind of rejection later on, and men initial rejection.
Exactly.
For asking out. We can't avoid it, though, can we?
No.
Okay.
As long as you're going to put yourself out there, which you should be doing anyway. If you're sitting at home and not trying at all...
Well, you're certainly not going to date at that point.
Exactly. But if you're going to put yourself out there, and if you do want relationships, if you do want to connect, if you do want to have sex, you're going to have to risk rejection. You're going to have to learn how to manage it. Now, there's a difference between somebody rejecting you because you came across very creepy in a very, negative way, or maybe they just rejected you because they don't know you well enough and they just don't have the time right now for reasons that are beyond your control to get to know you.
How likely is somebody going to tell you why they rejected you?
In some cases, most people will reject you for reasons that they think are the reason, but not the actual reason.
What do you mean?
Okay, somebody might say, well, I'm rejecting you because, you have this type of lifestyle and that type of lifestyle doesn't interest me. Well, at a later time, that person may end up dating someone who lives the exact same lifestyle. So it wasn't the lifestyle that necessarily turned that person off the first time. You're better off not asking the people who rejected you why they got rejected. You, chances are, will not get a truthful answer.
Okay.
The best way to figure it out, actually keep going out, change your approach each time, and when you start getting successes, when you start going from no, okay, I'll go out with you. Okay, I'll go out with you. Okay, I'll go out with you again. Okay, I'll go out with you again. And then you continue on. Your successes will teach you more than the times you got rejected.
Your successes actually do teach you more than your failures. Somebody said that line, and I remember that sticking in my head. That you learn from your successes, not we often
in relationships.
We're often taught that we learn from our mistakes, but we actually don't because we tend to repeat our mistakes. Well, we actually learn from our successes.
Exactly. In relationships.
Right.
In relationships, once you finally are successful, that's when you know it works. That's why you have to keep trying until you are successful.
Right. So we're going to have to learn, how do we accept getting rejected? How can we make that part of our thinking so that it doesn't stop us from going out there? And, what do we tell ourselves? How do we get it into our heads that it's okay? It is likely to happen. So if you don't try, you're for sure not going to get, but at least if you do try, there is some chance that you can succeed.
It's the message you attach to rejection.
Right.
If you attach the message that every time I get rejected, it means I'm unlovable, okay, that's not going to be very good for your self-esteem.
Well, no, and then the lower your self-esteem, the less likely you are to try it out.
Somebody.
Would love to hear our thoughts from our listeners, 514-790-0991. You can also text us at 514-800. You're listening to Dating Dilemmas tonight, right here on Passion on CJAD 800.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Bettito on CJAD 800.
Dating Dilemmas tonight on the program with Frank Kermit. He joins us once a month, and tonight we're talking about rejection. Would love to hear some of your thoughts or your questions. 514-790-0991. You can also text us at 514-800. And Pauline joins us on the program. Hi, Pauline.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I'm calling up because I'd like to know what do you say to a person so that they don't feel rejected?
When you want to actually reject them, when you want to tell them I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know how you can. Is there such a way as letting them down easy?
Absolutely. Yeah. When you reject somebody, you got to pick a reason that is something that is beyond your control, but in your long-term plans.
beyond my control, but in a long-term plan. I don't understand the second part.
Yeah, explain that. Frank.
Okay, let's say the reason that you're rejecting someone isn't because of the way you feel about them. It's because where you see yourself in 5 or 10 years is not compatible with where that person sees themselves in 5 or 10 years. That's the best rejection you can offer somebody. It's not how I feel about you. It's not that I like you or don't like you. It's that we don't have a compatible future.
Okay.
So if you can get to know them and find out what their long-term plans are, if that's not in line with what you want, then that's why you should move away.
Okay.
So that would be the best kind of...
That's the best way to break up with somebody.
It's the best way to let somebody down, or just oh, that's great.
If one of you wants kids and the other one doesn't, look, there's no point in us even starting to date. There's no point in us even continuing, and I'm going to reject you now. Why? Because we want different things in the future, so it's better we don't connect right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, it's not about how you feel, it's not about how attracted you are, it's really about, it's not going to work out in the future, so I don't want to explore right now.
Okay, well, that's an option. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. Thanks for calling in.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Linda. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, this is really scary because I met somebody I hadn't seen for 45 years.
Whoa.
Today.
Wow.
My mother is in the Jewish General, and she's in critical condition, and he happens to be her orderly. That was really wild today. And I don't know what to think. I keep thinking about him. It's wild. We dated in high school.
And are you are you both single right now?
No,
Oh.
I'm married.
Okay.
I think he's single.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that's really worrying me.
Well, you don't have to do anything about it, Linda.
Well, I think I want to. That's the scary part.
All right. Well, you may want to start thinking about your marriage.
Maybe you're right.
You know, before you do anything that you're going to that you can't take back.
Right.
You really want to think about what your marriage means to you.
Right.
And if
I
there's,
think it was just a thrill.
yeah, and it can be a thrill. Long lost loves and nostalgia and
Right.
there's, you know, especially I'm assuming you've been married a long time.
10 years.
Okay, so you know, it's kind of it's old hat now, and this has sparked something in you, and
Something sparked. Exactly.
yes, but don't read too much into the spark either, because understand what you're giving up in order to keep that spark, you know, like to light that fire that you just kind of got a glimpse of.
You're probably absolutely
Okay,
right.
and if there's something in your marriage that's not working, fix that first, but don't use this experience, this little spark, which a lot of people can experience, and it happens often.
Great.
Sure, but just take it as that, a piece of nostalgia, a blast from the past that doesn't have to go anywhere. And remember who and why you got married to this guy.
You're absolutely right.
Okay? Focus on your prize now.
100%.
All right, Linda.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling in.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I don't know if you had anything to add to that, Frank.
The only thing I could add is whatever emotional needs were being addressed by this fantasizing of this liaison, those are the emotional needs that can still be addressed within her marriage. And there's ways to rekindle that. You just have to put some effort. Right now, it sounds like she's going through a lot. Her mother is very, very ill, which could be very traumatic for anybody.
Right.
And when people are faced with these type of major life changes, sometimes a little escapism seems a lot more tantalizing than it actually is.
Right.
Because it's an escape. Let me escape from all the trouble and the pain that I'm in because I just want to have a little fun and just forget about my problems.
Right. And someone who's paying attention to you and compassionate and has all that at a vulnerable stage in your life.
And because they dated in high school, it's probably bringing her back to a time when she was a little bit more carefree.
That's right.
And that's the connection. He may not even be anybody really significant for her right now, but he might be a symbol for a happier time in her life. And that's where it's dangerous.
A simpler time, when life was, when you realize now, of course, when you're in high school, life doesn't seem all that simple. But when you realize and you go through adulthood and everything that entails, makes a big difference.
It's so much easier to fall in love with a symbol than it is to be in love with a real human being.
Right.
And that's why sometimes outside marriage relationships, affairs, seem like a good idea in the moment, but they never are.
Right. Exactly. So, Linda, I hope we've been helpful to you tonight. 514-790-0991. You can also text us at 514-800. We're talking about rejection with Frank Kermit. He is the relationship columnist for the West End Times. He's a dating coach as well and the author of many books on the subject of dating. So if there's any question you have about dating, where to meet, how to meet, what you can do, or anything about rejection, we are here to talk to you about it right here on Passion on CJAD.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Bettito on CJAD 800.
Dating dilemmas. If you have questions, comments about dating, you give us a call, 514-790-0991. We're talking about rejection. What's the worst rejection story you may want to share with us? And have you ever had a hard time? I know a lot of people have a hard time with this. It's like, how do I let the other person know that I'm not interested? I like them and I enjoy their company, but it's just not for me. And a lot of people don't want to hurt the feelings of the other person because, I'd say most people are pretty kind and don't, aren't jerks about it and don't really want to go around hurting others. Even though rejection does hurt, you want to kind of minimize that, but that's not always easy to do.
And sometimes it's not always and sometimes it's not even the right thing to do. If your primary concern is, I don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, you might end up telling a fib. You might say something like, well, I'm not really looking to date anybody right now, which actually is giving that other person hope. Oh, so what you're saying is you might be interested in dating me later on. Okay, I'll try asking you out again later.
Or they may end up, you go ahead and date somebody else 2 weeks later, and they start to feel like, okay, well, you lied, and
And that's so much worse. Generally, what I usually encourage people to do is to say, look, don't reject somebody. Go on one date. Get to know them. Have a conversation. And if necessary, while you're having a conversation, ask questions about where do you see yourself in the future? And if the person says, I don't know yet, well, we're incompatible. Give everybody an opportunity. Here's the thing. Instead of regretting the people we actually go out with, most people regret the people we never took a chance on.
Right.
Because even when you go out with somebody and it's a bad experience, it's a learning experience. You've learned something. It's the person that you never took a chance on. It's the person that you say, I wonder how different my life would have turned out if I actually gave that one person a chance.
Right.
That's what people regret. I would rather encourage people that if you get asked out or you're in the process of deciding that you want to go out with somebody or not, take the chance. Go on one date. You have nothing to lose. If somebody likes you enough to invite you out for one date, they've already shown that they're a cut above the rest because they chose you.
Unless, of course, you have information on that person that, might tell you otherwise.
Depends on the source of that information, too. Depends on the source, because a lot of the stuff that I see is people saying, well, I wouldn't go out with that person because I've heard these things. Well, did you find out for yourself?
Isn't there a website? Didn't you hear about this? This website, Rate My Boyfriend or something like that. And there's like a website you can go to and people kind of trash their partners. And if you're dating somebody, you can go search them out. Anyway, it's stupid, but it exists. All I'm trying to say. Michael joins us on Passion. Hi, Michael.
Hi there, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Great. I have a good example for you of what happened to me in my life. 6 years ago, I had shown an interest in a girl. We really had a great connection, but she did clear flat out reject me for any sort of relationship, but always, maintain that we had that connection. But I knew it was clearly because she wasn't attracted to me physically. She went through, we parted ways, and she went through several relationships, ended up having a child, and now she's a single mother. The father's out of the picture. She's down and out. And I became independently wealthy during that time, and I'm doing really well for myself. And she showed interest in me just about 3 months ago, saying, I realized I made so many mistakes in my life, and I should have just, dropped my guards and went with you. And I had the greatest pleasure of redemption by being able to reject her.
Yikes.
Yeah. And I said, no, I said, you know what, you did have that chance and you blew it, so enjoy single motherhood, and I wish you well. Take care. It felt great. It felt really great to redeem myself, because that really burnt me 6 years ago when she, after putting so much effort into trying to get her attention and trying to make things work, she just flat out rejected me because of I guess, physical attraction. She wasn't physically attractive.
Right. Something that was maybe a little more superficial and maybe didn't give you the chance.
Exactly. So I think that redemption, getting your chance at redemption like that, is very important for a man who's been burnt like that. And it felt great. I feel really, really good that I had the chance to throw it back at her.
Well, point well taken. All right, Michael. Thanks for calling in.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye. We'll take more of your calls here. We're talking about rejection. If you have your own rejection stories, love to hear them. It's 514-790-0991, or you can text them in at 514-800 on this dating dilemma here tonight on Passion on CJAD.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Bettito on CJAD 800.
Tonight on Passion, we're talking about rejection on our dating dilemmas once a month. Frank Kermit joins us in studio. He's a dating coach and the relationship columnist for the West End Times newspaper, here to talk about dating issues. And the issue we've picked for the evening is that of rejection. We have Carol on the line with us. Hi, Carol.
Hi, dear. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. And Mr. Kermit, the same thing. Frank Kermit. Excuse me, Frank.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Listen, I won't talk exactly about rejection because it's a term I really don't like.
No.
But what we can say is, what about if we're not like sexually attracted to someone? Because you see, the physique is not everything, but it helps. There's something in there. It has to really be attracting you, besides the interesting life of the other person. But sometimes you can wind up as being friends, or have a friend that would be as comfortable as an old pair of slippers, which means you can go and knock on his or her door any time of the night, and the door would open, and they would always be there for you. But there would never be question about being lovers. You know what I mean? I had a friend like that, but he passed on, and he was always there. And I swear to you,
did he want more? Do you know if he wanted more? Would he have wanted more?
He knew I didn't want more, but he knew, like, it's so hard to explain this relationship. We were borderline between lovers and between friends, but there would never be anything passionate like I felt for other guys that I met in the past, for other men. But I could not imagine my life without the fellow. And you see, now he's no longer in this world. I think about him almost every night.
Interesting.
It's not an obsession, but we were so comfortable. I was so comfortable with him.
So why didn't it evolve into a full-blown relationship?
It was a relationship in a way, and it wasn't. It was like...
What was missing?
I don't know. Maybe I wasn't attracted to him for this, but let's say something would have happened. I think the relationship will never have been the same after.
Well, of course not. It's not going to be the same. The question is, can it be something different that still gives you incredible value?
But it was good. It was a good relationship just the same. It was clean.
Do you regret?
I don't regret anything, and I don't think he would regret anything.
No?
But it's hard to speak for somebody that's no longer around. But I could say that he didn't complain because he still accepted to see me, and I always wanted to see him.
Did he ever make a move to take it to a different level? Like, did he ever show an interest in wanting more?
Yeah, we went up in bed a few times, but we never made love as such. I don't know how to call this kind of relationship, but
What do you call that, Frank?
it's not even platonic. It's not even
Well,
because
It's
look,
more.
if you,
It's
borderline. It's
if you ended up in bed together, you definitely were more than just friends, but you never made it official.
we were not lovers either.
And that might be something that, at this point, now that he's gone and that you're never going to have a chance to connect with him again, do you regret not being more intimate
No, I don't
with him?
regret that part, but I connect with him in spirit, though. That I don't. That I'm sure somewhere, somehow he knows. I believe in these things,
Right.
spiritual things, and I'm sure it's like I said. We're not only a physical body, okay? We're also spiritual, and I believe that.
So you have no regrets, basically,
I have no
Carol.
regrets, but
Okay.
I would have regretted to not to, let's say it would have taken bad, or let's say I would have tell him, well, I don't want to see you no more. Poof, that would have been it. I would have regret not to at least be friends,
Right.
But then again, we were borderline between friends and lovers.
Right.
It's not a relationship that you hear every day,
No, it's not.
but it was good, I mean, I wish I would still be with him, but I
Right.
don't regret
The way it was.
to be madly in love, head over heels, because
Right.
passion, it dies. But when it's a relationship of the sort, we were at it for at least 12 years.
Wow. Well, Carol, thanks so much for calling in.
happy
Appreciate
Easter,
it. Thank you
Happy
very
Easter.
much. You too.
Bye-bye.
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 Frank, anything you want to add to that?
I just wonder if she had agreed to try to take it further if it had gone. We never found out. The question is, did he stay there because he was content to stay there, or was he stay there because he was hoping things would change?
But she said she wasn't physically attracted to him.
But that can grow. That can something you can
I
spark.
don't know,
If you
12 years they were together. 12 years.
Well, that tells me that maybe they were both. They both had something in common, which is maybe they both didn't feel comfortable with sexual intimacy. In that case, they were a perfect pair.
That's possible too. Text message. In this day and age where women and media are always talking about gender equality, why is it that most women still refuse to approach men?
You really want to know? They don't have to, because they're on the receiving end of sexual attention. That's what it is. They're on the receiving end of sexual attention. It's those women who, for whatever reason, maybe they're getting a bit older, maybe they're not really taking care of themselves, or maybe they're giving off a vibe that they don't want to be approached. They're starting to realize that they're starting to feel lonely, they want to connect, and now they're starting to make the efforts to invite men out. But as long as a woman is on the receiving end of sexual attention, there's no real incentive for her to put herself out there and risk rejection. Men are not always on the receiving end of sexual attention. Even when a girl likes a guy, she's still not necessarily willing, because if she waits long enough, somebody else is going to approach her. So a guy is much more motivated to pursue, because if he doesn't pursue, he could end up an adult male virgin.
Well, it's not just about sex, though.
Not about sex, but if he can't at least connect sexually, he's going to struggle to connect emotionally.
Right. Here's another one. Hi, Frank. I want to know, how would an unfaithful lover feel after he is rejected by the one that found out? Do you get that question?
I think so. If I understand it correctly, what if somebody in a couple is cheating, and then the partner that's being cheated on finds out and says, yeah, well, I don't want to be with you anymore. That's what I think it's asking.
Which is, likely to happen.
Very much so. I would venture to say that somebody who gets left because they were unfaithful, usually their first and foremost emotion is shock. Because one of the emotions that they went through that caused the infidelity to begin with is a sense of entitlement. A sense of, this is, I've deserved this. This is going to be okay. I'm not getting what I really want in my relationship anyway. And then when they find out that their partner was actually willing to leave them, that's a big shocker, because a lot of people think, well, even if my partner found out about this, my partner would never leave.
You really think people think that? I don't know.
I think a lot of people figure, well, why would my partner leave? Because of this one thing? That my partner's got a really good life. My partner's well taken care of. They wouldn't leave for this one thing.
You're right. Sometimes that is the attitude. It's not always, but sometimes that can be an attitude that leads to also infidelity. Just having that sense. Not always the case, but sometimes that's the case.
No, but when entitlement is a key factor, then the feeling shock. Sometimes, however, and this is where we look at the other side of the coin, a person goes out and cheats hoping the partner will find out and leave them because they don't have the heart to break up with their partner to begin with.
So instead, there's another way of rejecting, right? Try to get. I just had a conversation with somebody today. In fact, they want to leave their partner, and they're doing everything in their power so their partner will leave them.
Yeah, it's pushing somebody away.
Yeah.
And sometimes, well, I'll go out and have an affair. My partner will find out. My partner will leave me. And I'm not the one who ended the relationship. My partner is, even though I did a bunch of crummy things to push my partner away.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful psychology, isn't it?
Doesn't really work. 514-790-0991, Star Talk, star 8255 on your cell. You can also text at 514-800. The actual reality is that even in couples who cheat, where there is infidelity, they often don't get rejected. That's the actual, yes, at first that's the feeling. The feeling is, they want to leave it. That's the end of it. It's over. How dare you? But in reality, most couples stay together.
I did a workshop and this question came up, and all the people in the room that had never been married and never been in a long-term relationship. Well, if somebody ever cheats on me, I'm going to walk out. I'm out. And it's the people who have had the experience of being in a long-term relationship that say, now hold on. Once you're in a long-term relationship, there could be children, there could be major investments, you have a certain lifestyle. And the infidelity unto itself may not be the breaking point in that relationship. Usually the infidelity is the symptom of what's really wrong in that relationship.
Exactly. It is a symptom. 514-790-0991. We have some more text to share with you. And, of course, if you've got any thoughts on rejection, dealing with rejection, how you cope with rejection, or how you go about rejecting somebody that you're not interested in having a relationship with, we can talk about all of that here with Frank Kermit on the program. You're listening to Dating Dilemmas on Passion on CJAD 800.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Bettito on CJAD 800.
Dating Dilemmas tonight on Passion. Frank Kermit joins me. He's a dating coach, a best-selling author, and educator, and a relationship columnist for the West End Times newspaper. And we are talking about rejection tonight. Every month we pick a theme that has to do with singlehood, dating, etc. So if you've got some thoughts on the subject, do give us a call, 514-790-0991. We got a text message that says, I just got played and used really badly. I'm angry. How can I learn to trust women again?
Really, really hard situation, regardless what gender you're in, to be in that position. The question that we have to ask is exactly how were you played? What promises did you believe that you didn't verify? It's really vague. And I would have to, if I was in a coaching session with this guy, I would be saying, okay, what rules of yours did you break, if any? That's the first
Give me an
place.
Example, like what?
Okay, if the girl, let's say, was cheating on some guy to be with you and says, no, I really want to be with you, I haven't found the right time to break up with him yet. Let's say one of your rules was, I would only be with a girl and never try to make her my girlfriend if she was, in the process of cheating on some guy to be with me. But you go ahead and break your own rules. Those are the things that we would look at and say, but dude, you broke your own rule. You saw that this was trouble, If she's going to cheat on her current boyfriend to be with you, chances are she's going to do that to you down the road.
But it's like looking at the red flags, Which red flags did you see and ignore?
Mm-hmm. And one of the other topics we didn't get a chance to discuss earlier is if you're going after somebody repeatedly who keeps on rejecting you, that's not necessarily an issue on the other person that they're not willing to give you a chance. Why do you keep going after somebody that's not interested in you?
Then you become a stalker, for God's sake.
Well, let's not go that far, but there's
Well,
obviously
but
some...
it's such a turnoff if you keep chasing when you keep being rejected.
But don't forget that as men, we are taught that persistence is key to success, and there are people who persist enough to get success. Part of what I try to do, though, in the coaching session is to say, if that person is not smart enough to say, yes, let's go out on one date and I'll give you a shot, that's the sign that you shouldn't be putting in further efforts.
Right. Jerry, hi, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
All right, so I don't know if it's more of a rejection or I just feel like such a different sex, not sex. I feel like sometimes I want to have sex and my girlfriend doesn't want to have sex, but it becomes like irregularly long periods of time, you know.
And you feel rejected.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. Does she?
I don't know what to do in the sense she has a busy life, you know, school, work, family, boyfriend, so I get it. So I'm not gonna persist on it, but it bothers me.
Jerry, understand that she's not rejecting you. That's the first thing. Is a lot of people feel that it's them that they're being rejected. That she's not interested in you, she's not attracted to you, no desire for you. It could very well be that all these things going on in her life is having an effect on her own level of desire, not necessarily her desire for you.
Yeah, no, I understand that part. It just gets I'm 21. At 21 you're supposed to have a pretty...
Well, it would be nice to have an active sex life, but again, it's not a question of... There's no supposed to anything.
Yeah,
okay, every relationship creates their own norm. There's not one normal... way or frequency or anything, no matter what age you're at. So it's the relationship that counts here. But you want to check and see what she's dealing with. What is she coping with? I can tell you one thing. The more you pressure her, the less likely she is to want to be close to you.
No, but exactly. That's why I don't pressure at all, right?
Right.
But you got these dry spells of 2 weeks long, sometimes 3 weeks long, and it's
well,
it didn't start off like that, so I was just...
It never starts off that way. Everybody will tell you in the beginning of a relationship, there's lots of activity. That's the same for just about everybody. And then it peters out after a while, especially for women. That's just the way they work. The majority of women, not all women, but 3/4 of women, that's how desire works for them. And women are affected by their environment more so than men are.
Yeah,
so there are a lot of factors like stress, all the stress factors that play a huge role on her desire or her willingness or what have you. So it's really important to together to talk about it without accusations, but to find out, honey, what is it you need? What is it you need so that you can feel relaxed, so that we can just enjoy each other intimately?
Yeah, and another question I had actually was... her family, well, not her whole family, but I mean, she has just a mom and a sister.
Yeah.
And they've always been tight-knit, so I don't know, sometimes I've had a lot of trouble with them. I'm not a bad person, but I mean, I've had a lot of trouble in the sense where they feel like I'm taking their daughter away or their sister away, but I don't, and I try to give space, but then it creates more physical and mental space for my girlfriend. And they're you know what I mean? So I don't know where to go with it because I don't know what to do anymore, right? In terms of I'm living in the middle of 3 different people, all their wants and needs,
Right. You're also, I'm assuming your girlfriend's young too?
Yes, she's the same age as me.
Okay, so, she's kind of has one foot in the adult world and one foot in childhood still, and her parents, her family might be having a hard time letting her go and letting her become an adult. So I think it may take a little more time for that adjustment to happen.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to be really patient.
I never experienced it before, So
right. Well, maybe you've never been in a serious relationship before, and maybe you've never, again, all these are all new experiences. You're only 21, so you're gonna have a lot of new experiences in your life.
No, of course,
right?
No, Yeah, I guess age has a lot to do with it too. I had a 4-year relationship, but that was when I was a lot younger.
Right. So you'll see there's a difference in the maturity level.
Yeah.
Let's see if Frank can add anything to that.
Jerry, I got to ask you something. You were talking about that, she has school and work and all this other stuff. You said boyfriends. Is she seeing other people?
Oh, no.
Okay, she's just talking about you, her boyfriend. Yeah. It's all all the things that she's, worried about.
One option is that you schedule a regular night a week that is your night as a couple. Another option is to consider that if you're not getting everything you need from this relationship and maybe this is putting more pressure on her, maybe the two of you need to not be so committed for the stage of life that you're in right now.
Yeah. I mean, we've tried that too. It's like, no, we haven't tried that. I don't know how you try it, but I mean, like...
Have you dated other people?
No, not between each other. See, that's one thing, like, I don't mind giving someone space, but I don't necessarily believe in the fact where, like, if you start with someone, then you need to date other people to find out if you still, I find that a little bit, like, it's too much, like, if I'm going to start dating other people, it's because I already doubted too much, you know what I mean? So...
You want to try this one and see what happens, and I respect that. Somebody just actually responded to this by text. It said, for you, for this caller, a dry spell of 2 to 3 weeks is nothing. Wait until you're married and have young kids. Your dry spell will be a drought.
Yeah. No, but
so
look,
get ready, Jerry.
Of course. No, I mean, I'm not calling in because I'm not trying to be immature or anything.
I know.
For me, it's still a little bit irregular.
Yeah, it's okay. Listen, you're allowed to be frustrated. It's okay. You're allowed. You can also express it, but without putting that kind of pressure. What you really want to do is be compassionate and find out what's going on with her that is keeping her from being sexual with you. See what you can help her with so that she can relax enough to want to be, just to let go and be intimate. All right?
Yeah,
all right, Jerry. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. More dating dilemmas here on Passion.
You're listening to Passion with Dr. Laurie Bettito on CJAD 800.
Last couple of minutes here for our Dating Dilemmas program. Some wonderful calls tonight, actually. Frank Kermit is in studio. He joins us every month. Here is a text message. Men take women for granted because we women always forgive. We are so scared we won't find better, which is sometimes true, that we settle with an unfaithful husband. Why aren't men as forgiving when they are the ones who've been cheated on?
Interesting question. It has to do with men and women's different emotional needs. For a man, one of his emotional needs is put us first. When a woman cheats on a man, his emotional need, put us first, is directly violated. For a woman, even though he may be cheating on her, which may violate trust, protection, and safety if she's worried about STDs, if her other emotional needs are still being met, meaning that he's not planning to abandon her, he's still taking care of her, he gives her an emotional range, he's providing for her and her children, she may not leave. And I don't know if it's a question of forgiveness as much as maybe she's in a position where she may have to tolerate it or be forgiving of it or just have to, grin and bear it, because it's a very different dynamic.
Isn't that a bad... Some women are in that position, granted. Do you think that those guys know it, and so that's their feeling of entitlement now? Because, hey, I give her everything, I provide everything, so I'm entitled to do this?
For some men, yes. For some men, their attitude is, listen, I've dedicated my entire life. I took care of my kids. I put them through school. I took care of her. She's got a house. She has said I could die right now, and they're taken care of. I gave up a huge part of my life. I want to have some fun. That doesn't make what they're doing right. There's lots of ways that you can approach your partner and say, listen, I want to try something new. I want to experiment.
Right. That's definitely not the answer. And it's not all men. Again, it's not all cheating men either. Only some. Frank, As usual, thank you so much for a great show, and we will catch up with you again next month for Dating Dilemmas.
I'm looking forward to it.
You can reach Frank at franktalks.com. The information for his monthly workshops will be there. And there's one happening tomorrow, so sign up. franktalks.com.
Listen to Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito, live weeknights 10 to 11 on CJAD and CJAD.com.
Need help with love, sex, dating, or relationship issues? Help from Frank Kermit, the best-selling author and Canada's most international relationship coach, is only a click away at franktalks.com.
If you need help with your relationships, my buddy Frank, he's got some tips. Just go to franktalks.com. His advice is better than your mom's. He knows what you're going through, Frank has been there too. So log on to franktalks.com. franktalks.com.
What do you do when you feel like a fool? When your heart has been broken again? Pick up the phone or get onto Skype and talk on a private session. Yeah, get a little help from Frank Talks. Whoa, whoa, get by with a little help from Frank Talks. You gotta try a little help from Frank Talks. What do you do when your love goes away? Try coaching one-on-one. How do I sign up to turn things around? Just sign up at franktalks.com. Yeah, get by with help from Frank Talks. I get by with little help from Frank Talks. Time to try a little help from Frank Talks. Does it cost a lot of money? It's the best rate going around. Could it cost a lot of money? Oh, it's worth every cent that you will put down. Yeah, franktalks.com. Oh, you got to go to get your help from franktalks.com. Yeah, yeah. Would you believe that Frank gets results? Yes, we're certain. Just read the reviews. Frank knows his stuff, and Frank's several goods. Good love can soon come to you. Oh, yes, he does. Yeah, yeah. franktalks.com.
Need help with love, sex, dating, and relationships? Visit franktalks.com.